You've worked hard for decades. You've saved diligently, invested wisely, and now you're ready to enjoy the retirement you've dreamed about. But there's one question that lingers in the back of your mind, one that keeps so many Canadians awake at night. What if I live longer than my money does? It's a fear few people talk about. We celebrate longevity as a gift, but financially, it's one of the biggest risks retirees face. Fail to plan for it, and you could spend your later years cutting back your lifestyle or relying on your family at the exact time you want independence most. The good news, with the right strategy, you can protect yourself against this risk and enjoy the retirement you've worked so hard to build. Hi, I'm Tanya Solsla, investment advisor at CG Wealth Management. I work with Canadians who've done a great job of saving for retirement, but now want clarity and confidence that their wealth will last as long as they do. In this video, we're going to talk about longevity risk, what it means, and why it's such a critical issue for Canadians, and the steps you can take to ensure you never outlive your money. If you find this valuable, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to see how to protect your own retirement from longevity risk, book a call with me using the link in the description below. Number 1, why longevity is the biggest risk in retirement. Living a long life is something we all hope for, but financially, it creates a challenge most people don't see coming. Here's why. If you retire at 60, there's a good chance you or your spouse could live 30 years or more in retirement. That means your portfolio needs to generate income for 3 full decades. Inflation will quietly erode your purchasing power over time. Market downturns in the early years could permanently reduce how long your money lasts. And here's the real risk. The longer you live, the more time there is for the unexpected expenses like healthcare or helping family to drain your wealth. I've seen retirees in their 80s forced to cut back on their lifestyle, not because they were reckless, but because they didn't plan for the possibility of living so long. Longevity isn't just one risk. It's the multiplier of all other risks in retirement. Number 2, start with a clear picture of your retirement needs. The first step to protecting yourself is understanding what your retirement will actually cost. We often break retirement into 3 phases. The active years. In your 60s and early 70s, you're typically healthy, energetic, and spending more on travel, hobbies, and lifestyle experiences. The settling in years. In your late 70s and 80s, spending naturally slows as travel and activities decrease, though healthcare costs may begin to rise. The care-focused years. In your late 80s and 90s, spending often shifts towards healthcare, support, and daily living assistance. Here's why this matters. If you overspend in the active years without a plan, you could find yourself tightening your belt just as healthcare expenses are ramping up. Example, a client couple in their early 70s spent lavishly in their first 5 years of retirement, renovating their home and taking multiple overseas trips. By their mid-70s, their portfolio withdrawals, combined with a market downturn, left them with fewer options than expected. Lesson: you can enjoy your early years, but it needs to be balanced with a strategy for your later years. Number 3, build lifetime income streams. One of the smartest ways to manage longevity risk is to create income sources that won't run out, no matter how long you live. For Canadians, this could include delaying CPP and OAS. Every year you delay CPP past age 70 increases your benefit by 8.4%. That's guaranteed income indexed to inflation for life. Annuities. Allocating a portion of your portfolio to an annuity can provide predictable income that continues as long as you live. Dividend-paying investments for growth and income that can keep pace with inflation. Example, a single retiree I worked with chose to delay CPP and draw down her RRSP in her early 60s. This reduced her future tax burden and guaranteed her a higher government pension for life, even if she lived past 95. The key isn't locking up all your money. It's creating a stable foundation so you're not relying entirely on market returns in your 80s and 90s. Number 4, plan for healthcare and long-term care costs. Even in Canada's healthcare system, there are significant out-of-pocket costs later in life. Home care, assisted living, mobility aids, prescription drugs. In Canada, private long-term care facilities can cost $50,000 to $100,000 per year, depending on the level of support. Example, I met a couple who assumed they'd never need long-term care because we're healthy. But when one spouse suffered a stroke in their late 70s, the family had to spend $6,000 a month on in-home support. It wasn't part of their plan, and they had to liquidate investments during a market downturn to cover the costs. Planning tip: build a contingency fund or explore long-term care insurance to protect against this risk. Number 5, stress test your retirement plan. Here's the part most people overlook, yet it's often the difference between a retirement filled with confidence and one filled with worry. Ask yourself this simple question: what would happen to my retirement plan if I lived to 90 or even 100? For many Canadians, the answer isn't clear. They assume their portfolio will carry them through because it looks strong today. But here's the challenge. What if markets drop early in retirement? If you're forced to sell investments at a loss in your 60s, it can leave a permanent dent in your savings. What if inflation stays higher than expected? Even a modest 3% inflation rate means your cost of living doubles in 24 years. What if one spouse passes away and the survivor faces a higher tax rate on the same income? These are the what-ifs that can quietly derail even the most carefully built retirement plan. Real-world scenario. I worked with a couple in their early 60s. Let's call them Paul and Linda. On paper, their retirement plan looked solid. They had $2.2 million saved, modest spending needs, and no debt. But when we ran their numbers through our retirement planning software and stress tested their portfolio, a few issues emerged. If markets dipped in the first 5 years, their portfolio longevity dropped by nearly a decade. If Linda lived to 98, as her mother had, their income would barely cover essential costs by her mid-90s. And if Paul passed away first, Linda's income would decrease while her tax rate increased, thanks to the loss of certain pension splitting benefits. Together, we restructured their withdrawals, delayed CPP, and carved out a contingency fund for healthcare. The result? A plan that worked even in the worst-case scenarios. Why stress testing matters. Think of stress testing as putting your retirement plan through a flight simulator. We can run dozens of scenarios: bull markets, bear markets, rising healthcare costs, even unexpected family expenses, and see how well your wealth holds up. It's not about scaring you. It's about giving you the clarity to spend your money with confidence, knowing you're prepared for life's curveballs. Because true financial freedom isn't just having money in the bank. It's knowing your wealth will support you through every stage of life, no matter how long you live. Longevity is a gift, but without the right plan, it can also be one of the greatest risks to your financial security. I've seen far too many retirees focus on reaching a magic savings number, 1 million, 2 million, even 3 million, without thinking about how to turn that into a reliable income stream that lasts for 30 or 40 years. The result? They either spend their retirement years cautiously, afraid to enjoy their wealth, or they spend too freely in the early years and they find themselves cutting back later, just when healthcare costs and other what-ifs begin to creep in. But that doesn't have to be your story. With the right strategy, you can build a retirement plan that supports your lifestyle, protects your independence, and gives you the confidence to enjoy the years ahead, no matter how long you live. If you want a second opinion on your plan, or if you're wondering whether your savings will last as long as you need them to, book a time with me using the link in the description below. Because the best retirement plans don't just protect your money, they protect your lifestyle, your family, and your peace of mind.